everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I'm very excited because I have a lovely chat with Becca Kinzer to share with you today. So, she's a contemporary romance author who's written a standalone rom com called Not What We Pictured. So, this rom com is a new release and it's releasing tomorrow. And I've also recorded a solo episode on the book where I've talked about the book in more detail, and that dropped a few days ago. So, if you haven't had a chance to look at that, please feel free to pause the episode here and you can go back and listen to that solo episode on the book, which is number 62, and come back. And I'm going to be chatting with Becca and asking a few more questions about the book because it is such a fun rom-com and I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you. So otherwise, stay tuned, and I have a paperback giveaway that I'll be talking about at the end of the episode in terms of how to enter. So here's my author chat with the lovely Becca Kinzer. Welcome, Becca Kinzer.
Hi, Narelle. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you back. And I did speak to you a while ago at Story Chats on your first book, Dear Henry, Love Edith, which I absolutely adored. So it's so fun to have you back again to talk about this one. So I'm going to start by reading through your bio for our listeners. So Becca Kinzer lives in Springfield, Illinois, where she works as a critical care nurse. When she's not busy taking care of sick patients or using up all the storage on her phone with pictures of her dog, I can relate to this, pets and storage on phones, she enjoys making up light-hearted stories with serious laughs. She is the author of multiple titles, including Dear Henry, Love Edith, which won the 2024 Carol Award for Debut Novel. Not What We Pictured is her fourth novel. So, welcome, Becca. We're so happy to have you here visiting with us. And I'm going to start with my icebreaker questions, which is always my first question I'll ask, which is, have you visited Australia?
No, my brother, I have two older brothers, and one of them is the world traveler in our family. He's been to
Mm-hmm.
Australia, but I have not been anywhere outside of the United States except for Monterrey, Mexico on a missions trip back in high school. The funny thing is, my next story I'm working on is about this world traveler. She's like the solo expert. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that one's been fun to write because I have no personal experience with it. But someday I'd love to visit Australia. I'd love to visit just about anywhere.
Well, you know, readers, we all armchair travel around the world. Like, we go to all sorts of weird and wonderful places from the comfort of our armchairs in wonderful stories. So, your brother will be a good resource for you too. You can tap into his knowledge and his experiences
For sure.
when you work on that next book, which sounds so fun. So, that brings me to my next icebreaker question. So, can you please share with us a fun fact from your part of the world, or if it's not from your part of the world, from your book setting?
So I live in Illinois, which is we're part of the Midwest. And it was funny when I saw your question, I was like, something fun about the Midwest. And I was kind of laughing about it and asked my husband, and he's like, well, so I even Googled it. I was like, what is fun about the Midwest? And it pretty much reinforced like there's nothing probably that's going to lure a lot of travelers here to the Midwest who are looking for fun. But it is the area, if you like, we go kind of crazy in the fall season. People go nuts over pumpkins, pumpkin flavored everything. So I will say, where I live in Illinois, we are the highest producer of pumpkins. So if you love a good pumpkin patch or a corn maze, this is the place to be in the fall.
Wow, that's really cool. I've actually been through Illinois very quickly. So I've been on the Empire Builder train, which goes from Milwaukee down to Chicago. And then I've driven out of Chicago, was on the way to an ACFW conference and got hopelessly lost and ended up heading to Michigan because you never make an
Oh,
Aussie
whoops.
navigator on all your freeways. It's like that main road out of Chicago. You can literally is like 30 or 40 exits on both sides of the road, and
No,
I'm on the
it's
wrong side
terrible.
of the road before you even
Yes.
start.
No,
That is a
I
rom-com in
drove.
itself.
Yeah, it is. I was going up to Michigan not long ago, and I went so far out of my way just to avoid the area around Chicago. I mean, it was like I
Yeah.
practically went to Maine to get to Michigan. On the way back, I was like, okay, just suck it up. You can do this. But yeah,
Oh,
it intimidates even me with I've driven it before. Oh, too many
yeah.
exits. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's definitely an adventure, but I got there in the end. It's all good.
Yes.
Good ending to that story. So, we're talking about your book, your lovely rom-com, Not What We Pictured. So, let's start. And if you can please tell us about your book.
Like most of my stories, it is a comedy of errors. It's essentially McKenna is our main heroine, and she has raised her little sister for quite a few years. Their mom had passed away years ago, and she had promised their mom that she would always take care, of her little baby sister. Well, that little sister's grown up, and now McKenna just wants nothing more than to see her engaged so that she can kind of feel like she's relinquished her role as her caregiver. And so the story is her trying to help her sister get this perfect proposal, and everything just keeps going wrong. And of course, she keeps meddling, trying to help. But the story kicks off where, in her attempt to help, she has actually lost the engagement ring and it has wandered off with this stranger that she met. And it's about how she and this stranger, Nate, end up getting kind of thrown together in their own circumstances, trying to find this ring. And the majority of the setting
Yeah.
takes place at his mom's bed and breakfast in Tennessee. And so, yeah, it's a fun summer story, a lot of chaos, but it all, it's one of those everything goes wrong, but somehow turns out right in the end.
Yeah, I just loved it. It was so fun. And it was, I mean, often people will talk about rom-coms and they might say they read it, but they might do a little bit of a giggle, but that's about it. This one was laugh out loud funny. I was seriously laughing, and there were tears as I was laughing in certain places as well, because the humor just keeps building and building, and it gets funnier and funnier. And the absolute worst ridiculous thing that can happen will happen. And I just loved it. It was
Well, I'm glad.
so
Yeah.
good. So
Well,
we're
I've
gonna,
told Well, I was just gonna say, I've told people it's one of those, it really depends on your sense of humor. You'll either think
yeah.
it's hilarious or you'll be like, this is the most ridiculous story I've ever read. And I'm like, well, and it is what it is. So it's however you
Yeah.
take it.
I know I have a great sense of love for the ridiculous as well, so I really enjoyed it. So we're going to start with one of the most ridiculous story elements, which is all the failed wedding proposals. So there's been a series of misadventures that's resulted in McKenna's sister's boyfriend failing to pull off the perfect surprise wedding proposal, and which is what you were talking about earlier. So I have a couple of questions. My first one is, have any of the failed marriage proposal situations, which is prior to the meet cute, been inspired by real life? And of course, the meet cute is hilarious. It's the absolute winner. I just loved it. And so, ignoring the meet cute, so we don't give away any story spoilers, which failed proposal scenario from the backstory that's mentioned is your favorite?
So thankfully, no, none of them were based off real life. I think I was thinking of all my friends and family. I was like, no, I think everybody's proposal was like one of those, oh, that's cute story. Nothing, yeah, bad happened.
Yeah.
But out of the examples, I think I would narrow it down to I think Oliver really missed his chance when the in the restaurant when the sprinkler system went off.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how great would that story have been to tell your kids someday I proposed with the water coming down, but they didn't see that as their perfect opportunity. But I think the nurse in me too. There's also, I think the guy at the table next to them started having the heart attack. And I did
Yes.
think, there's no coming back from that. I think he could have salvaged some of the other catastrophes, but I was like, you just can't. Like when someone's,
Yeah.
dying next to you, but you can't really propose. I was like, that was probably not maybe the funniest, but also like, oh, poor Oliver. Like every time he
Yes.
wanted to. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I did empathize with Oliver because he was trying so hard, and
Right.
he just couldn't get it together, and it was
Mhm.
usually not his fault. It was just,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it was just so
You're like,
fun. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Just
yeah,
go
this
into a restaurant. What could go wrong? It's
what
like, oh, poor
yeah.
Oliver. Yes.
And the sprinkler systems go off when you don't want it. I remember talking to someone in my family who wouldn't get contents insurance living in an apartment. I kept looking at the ceiling. There's a sprinkler there. A sprinkler can go off for no apparent reason at any given time. You
Yes.
need insurance.
Yes, definitely.
Unfortunately, I don't know if he got a refund for the sprinkler going off and ruining his perfect dinner. But anyway,
Oh no. Yeah.
hopefully they gave
Probably
him
not.
this. Hopefully they gave him a credit or something. He go back and do dinner again. But by then the moment's lost when you've
It's
got the memories of
lost.
that.
When you have water dripping down your clothes, the
Yes.
moment's done.
Yeah. Makeup ruined, hair ruined.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
not even, it's not even cutesy rain ruining everything. That's
No, yeah.
romantic.
Yeah. And you're surrounded by other wet people too.
Yes.
It's like, oh, darn. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, but we did get there in the end with the meet cute, and you can read the book
Mhm.
to find out what happened because I'm not talking about it because it's too good to spoil. So anyway, we're going to talk about McKenna and Nate's romance. So McKenna has an overdeveloped sense of responsibility for her sister. And as Becca said, she made promises to her dying mum years ago that kept McKenna stuck in Nebraska. So she's desperate to leave Nebraska, but until her sister's happy and settled, she can't do that. And so we have Nate with his own emotional baggage and issues to deal with. And so, why are McKenna and Nate drawn to each other after experiencing what can only be described as a disastrous and hilarious meet cute that included kissing?
So I think they're both bored. I mean, she's bored. She's wants to get out of there. But I also think they're both lonely in a way.
Mm,
She has given up a lot of her social life. People have moved on with their lives. So I was thinking about like her classmates and a lot of her core friends have kind of moved on and she's been there. And then Nate too, as you get to know him, you get the impression like his closest friend was actually kind of a father figure mentor to him
mm,
who he's lost right at the beginning. Like he's kind of dealing with that grief as well. And so I think, they initially meet each other and it's just chaos and like, oh, who's this crazy lady? But as they get thrown together, it doesn't take them too long. They're both pretty quick to start sharing things about themselves.
mm.
And I think they resonate of like, here's someone I can talk to. And then once that emotional bonding starts happening, that kind of opens their eyes to more than just like, oh, they're cute. It's like now
Yeah.
we're sharing parts and I think it's the loneliness and the boredom that helps them quickly bond. They realize, oh, here's something potentially great in my life
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. And they both had that, they shared that ridiculousness. Like there are some people who you could put in that meet cute situation who would just be mortified beyond words because they don't have a sense of humor and they just would not be able to roll with what was happening because they both had to roll with some pretty interesting stuff that was going on that kept snowballing and snowballing. And I
Yeah,
think the way they managed all that, I think really did draw them together because they could say, oh, you know what? They're actually a fun person. And yeah,
exactly. I
yeah,
know. I think if they had a sprinkler system go off on them, they would roll with it and they would be like, this is our proposal. This is what's
yeah.
going to happen. I
Oh,
think they have that type of personality.
oh, 100%. They would have,
Mhm.
yeah, they would have loved it and lapped it up
Yes.
because
I
they,
was like, the fire truck would have showed up. They would have been on the truck. They would have been, I mean, making the most of it. I think yeah,
yep,
they're a different personality set than her sister and Bobby's boyfriend.
yes, yes, definitely. And it's so fun. I think with rom-coms, you really need to have those characters that are larger than life, but at the same way are true to life. So it's that combination where they can embrace things that are different and they're not stuck in their ways, and you can throw the kitchen sink at them and everything else, and they still manage to keep walking and keep standing. I just loved it. Was so good. So anyway, and the kissing bit's really fun. Like when once you read the beginning of this book, you need to find out how this kiss happened. It's very, very good. It was very funny, and I just loved it. So I'm going
I
to now
bet.
talk about our ensemble cast of side characters because if you've read any of Becca's books, you know that the side characters make the story in so many ways. So I just love the way that she sets up these situational comedy side character ensemble casts that they're just hilarious. And so the side characters are hilarious and I just love that ensemble cast. And those committee meetings in Tennessee in the small town where his mother has the B&B are just hilarious. I could not stop laughing at the way these committee meetings worked. You've got to read the book to find out what I'm talking about. And Vivi at the airport. Now, I think out of all the side characters, Vivi, I think, was my favorite because she's just at the airport and she's trying to do her job. So she's getting paid. She turns up to work. Her job, in theory, is tick and flick. Like there's nothing that's really going to stretch her too much. And usually it's very humdrum. And then she meets our main characters, and there's nothing humdrum and boring about these two.
No.
Yeah, and yeah, there was so much humor with her. So my questions for Becca, and you can have more than one character if you want to, if you do want to answer that way. But who is your favorite of the side characters in the story and why?
I was a big fan of Vivi as well because
Yeah.
Vivi is so over it. And so, like, pairing her up with these two chaotic, yeah, characters, I love their interaction. I think the one probably I relate to the most is Gus because he's all about the
Mm.
snacks. And I'm kind of like, I can relate to that. If there's a meeting or committee you want me to join, I need to know the snack situation, like what's
Yeah.
happening there. So he was fun. Yeah. And I think Georgie, she's that character that like I want to wring her neck, but I also love her because she's like she just wants to take charge and
Yep.
she does not take charge well, but boy, she's gonna try. And so yeah, they they're all just fun. They make the stories fun for me. I grew up watching a lot of sitcoms and some of
Yep.
those older shows, and it's so they just these characters just show up because whenever I'm planning a story, of course I've got my heroine and hero, and I do all these background character
Yep.
development, trying to see what makes them tick. And then it's just funny because these other characters, they just show up and they start talking. And it's like they're like, we've got this. You don't need to figure anything out about us. Just let us do our thing. And they
Yep.
usually do. I just get
Yeah.
out of their way.
Yeah. And I just loved how the side characters are just so important for creating misunderstandings. And you've done this in every book of yours. I've read all your books, and you've done it in every book I've read where you've had these delightful, charming side characters who get themselves on this sort of train track to a certain place, and they won't get off the train. They're going, going, going. And the misunderstandings and the way that clashes with other people's ideas and with actually what the truth is, what the situation is. I just love how all that just comes together into this beautiful, chaotic story.
Thank you. I love screwball comedies, some of
Yeah.
those old classic movies. And so I think that's my way to kind of pay a little homage
Yeah.
to that type of humor.
Definitely. It's just so fun and I love it. So, what would you like to share with our listeners?
I just hope they have a lot of fun with this story. The inspiration behind it all, just to give a short version of it, was the in the story it's building up to this concert that they're putting on at the bed and breakfast where they've invited a celebrity, and that was all inspired back, I think it was in 2022. A friend had seen on Facebook this country singer in Nashville had said he pretty much put a post on Facebook that was like, I will come to your backyard and put on a concert if you make a bid and if I like your offer. And so she did. And so her preparing for this celebrity to come and sing in her
Yeah.
backyard, it was so funny and hilarious because she's like, oh, celebrity's coming. And I mean, she went crazy and other friends went crazy. And so the inspiration for the story was just a lot of fun. And so
Yeah.
that's what I just tried to bring to the story. I keep saying that word, but that's really what I want. When readers say they laughed, even if I only get one laugh out of them, I feel like I did my job.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm trying to get readers to do.
Well, you got plenty of laughs out of me. And if I reread this book, I would still be laughing on the second reread. And the celebrity thing was really interesting because, I mean, I know in your stories that nothing can ever go right, if that makes sense. So something gets
Right.
planned, it has to go wrong. And I got to the bit about the celebrity coming to town, and I sat there thinking, how is this going to go wrong? Like, what's going to happen? And I didn't pick it. I had a few
Yeah.
scenarios and I didn't actually pick what happened. And that was just such a fun surprise in the story to actually see the way it all unpacked and then the way the story played out from there and the way the dominoes fell and how everything fell into place. I just loved it. It's such a great story ending. And that's about all I can say without giving away spoilers. As you can tell, I absolutely love this book. So, Not What We Pictured is an April 2026 release, and it's actually releasing tomorrow. Yay, which is really
Yay.
exciting. So, where can readers find your book?
Hopefully anywhere that books are sold. Well, if this releases tomorrow, you've got maybe 12 hours to pre-order still from Baker Bookhouse. They're giving a really good deal and some pre-order goodies. So I would recommend going there. But if you have a favorite retail that sells books, buy it wherever you want.
Yep. Yep. So you've got the ebook and the paperback. And have you got an
Mhm.
audiobook coming out shortly?
Yes, the audiobook should be releasing the same time as well.
Excellent. And so have you had a chance to hear the narrators and I'm always fascinated by the narrators of audiobooks. It's a question I'll always ask.
So it's the same. I love, she does a great job. It's the same narrator that's done my last couple of books. And
Yep.
always does a great job. I can never listen to it until after it releases. I don't know why,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like I'm always too nervous to listen to it. But then once it releases, I don't know, then I kind of like start to breathe again and then I'll take a listen to it. But I've already been hearing some great reviews. People have been messaging me or tagging me and said she did a fabulous job because I always feel a little bad. She has a lot of characters to manage and a lot of
Yep.
different voices to do, but they said she does it so well. So I'm excited for readers to hear it, and then I'll take a peek listen at some point.
Excellent. Well, that means our audiobook listeners know that if you've enjoyed their audiobooks in the past, you've got the same narrator because readers follow narrators, which I've always found really interesting as well because the narrator is so important for the story. So I'm so glad that's coming out as well. So, where can readers find you in terms of your website and the socials?
Sure. BeccaKinzer.com is my website. Highly encourage readers to sign up for my newsletter. It's the best way to stay up to date on all my book news. And then the one social I hang out pretty regularly is on Instagram. I think my
Yeah.
handle name is Becca Ann Kinzer. That's the main place. I don't enjoy the other ones as much. Instagram's my favorite.
Instagram is fun, and I think as a if I put my reader hat on and ignore the fact that I'm also an author, I would probably go to Instagram to look for information on authors above the other socials as well, because it's such a fun place, and you don't tend to get some of the less fun stuff on social media at Instagram either. You can be the book community is just really fun.
Yeah. Hmm.
Really cool. Okay, so you mentioned before that you've got a world traveler in a story that's you're looking at doing. So, what upcoming releases do you have to share with us?
So yes, not what we pictured's the biggie. And then this it won't be till next year, 2027. So I'm just now getting into the editing phase with my editors and revisions for the 2027 story. So we don't have a title yet. I have my editorial call coming up soon. So we'll see what they say, what they want to change, and what we're gonna work on. But yeah, that's one. It's about a solo traveler who she's an expert on solo traveling and she gets amnesia on one of her trips and it's has scared
Oh,
her to travel. So,
yeah.
and she may have fallen in love during that amnesia episode. So,
Ooh.
we're putting all the pieces together now and I think it'll be a really great story next year.
I love the amnesia trope. I'm there. I'm already
Well,
wanting
it
to
was
read
on
this
my
book.
bucket list. I was like, I want to do an amnesia one. So
Oh, yeah.
it's fun, but it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
how to pull this one off. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think amnesia and rom-coms just go really well together
They
because there's
do. Yeah.
so much built-in humor opportunities with the amnesia trope as well in terms of how it plays out. I mean, the classic is While You Were Sleeping in terms of movies, but I've read
Yes.
some
Yeah.
really good ones with books as well. Yeah.
Well, and the fun part is so I work as a nurse and the floor I work on is a neurology floor. So I'm surrounded by brain doctors. So I was asking them, I was like,
Ah,
what's a good amnesia that's not just like a bop in the head? I was like, give me something else. So they gave me a good one that has been fun. And then of course I can go to them and be like, can I get away with this? Would this make
yep.
sense if like my character, And so they keep telling me, yeah, you can get away with it. And then they'll even be like, remember, it's fiction. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I need it to be just believable enough.
Yes. Yes. Love it. I love how you've got that access to all the doctors and stuff to get all that real life research done. So we're looking at, so we're spring 2027
Hmm.
for this one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Sorry, which is fall, autumn here. So I'm always having to sit here and do the mental calculations in my head for what's happening. So I'm really looking forward to reading more rom-coms from you and to reading this next one you've got coming out with your World Traveller because I've loved reading all of your books and I do think Dear Henry, Love Edith is my favorite. I don't know if it's because it's the first one I read from you and I don't know. There's just something about that one that I will always go back to as being a favorite. Do you have a favorite book out of all ones you've written?
They're I like them each for different reasons. I mean, that
Yeah.
one is special, I think partly because it was the debut and the
Yeah.
letter writing. I mean, it has a lot of really cute aspects to it. I
Yeah.
think Love and Tandem, it's like, well, that was based off of
Mm.
my husband and my trip, so that one
Yeah.
too. I mean, each one has like sentimental parts to it that I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, they're each special. So
Yeah.
honestly, I think not what we pictured, other than the background story I told you with the friend. I'd say this one is more just for fun. So we'll see in
Yes.
a few years if I'm like, where do I rank this one? So my
Uh,
favorite one is always the one coming out because I'm always like,
yes.
this is the new fresh one. You know,
Yes. And it's kind of like asking you who your favorite child is. Although
I have one. Yeah.
my daughter, when she was years ago, when she was at high school, she changed my husband's phone, and her name in my husband's phone is your favorite child. And so
There you go.
he's been in meetings and where your favorite child comes up as her name. He's never changed it because he just thought it was so funny. So anyway, thank you so much for visiting with us today and sharing about Not What We Pictured. And I hope our listeners will go and find your book or listen to the audiobook or read the paperback or the ebook and absolutely love it as much as I did. So thank you for visiting with us. And I'm really looking forward to reading more books from you as well.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're very welcome, and I'll see you later. Bye. Thanks for joining me today for my chat with the delightful Becca Kinzer. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I have a paperback giveaway, and it's for a reader that has a USA mailing address, and that's of Not What We Pictured. And to enter the giveaway, there'll be a link in the show notes. And the closing date for the giveaway is the 4th of May, USA West Coast time, which is actually the 5th of May in Australia, but I'm giving you the USA information because that's more logical and makes sense. So, as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, and you can do that at your favorite podcasting app or at YouTube, and then you won't miss an episode and you'll get notified when my next episode drops. You can also contact me via email at my website, and that's at narelleatkins.com, where I have a contact form. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can send me a text via a link in the show notes. And if you're watching at YouTube, you can like the episode at YouTube, and you can also leave a comment at YouTube. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please share the link with a friend, especially a friend who likes reading rom-coms, especially those situational comedy rom-coms that Becca writes, and a friend who you think would enjoy reading Becca's books. So thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.